I was 17 weeks pregnant and I didn't know. Yeah. So I'm sure you're wondering, how did that even happen? What do you mean you were 17 weeks pregnant and you didn't know? So it kind of was like a perfect storm of a situation for me to be that far along and having no idea. So we're going to back some things up. I had a polyp removed back in March in my uterus. The day before the procedure, I took a pregnancy test at home and I took a pregnancy test at my fertility specialist office. Both of those tests came up negative. After the procedure, it's very normal to bleed for a long period of time, and my period was also supposed to be like 2 days after the procedure, and I did end up bleeding for almost a month straight after that procedure. And after the procedure, it's also very normal for your cycle to be like messed up, irregular, or to just not get your period for months at a time. So I didn't have a period for months at a time and I didn't think anything of it. I had no symptoms whatsoever. I actually lost weight. My boobs weren't getting bigger, like nothing. No symptoms at all. During that time, also, you can't try to conceive. So it's not like we were also trying and I still wasn't getting my period. Like, that wasn't a thing that wasn't happening. So it's not like we were trying and I still wasn't getting my period. Like, I would have thought to take a pregnancy test. Okay, so the end of June comes around and I still haven't got my period, and my fertility specialist was like, you need to make an appointment. Once you get to 3 months with no period, we're gonna have you come in, we're gonna do a transvaginal ultrasound and see what's going on. So at the beginning of June, me and my husband also started trying to conceive again. And the morning of my appointment, I was like, you know what, let me just take a pregnancy test in case we finally were. And I'd rather find out at home with my husband than like alone in the doctor's office. So I took the test and it was so positive so fast. I was shook to my core. I was like, oh my God, it finally worked. The polyp that was acting as a natural IUD, which my doctor thought like it being removed, finally worked for us. So I called my doctor and I was like, hey, I actually need to cancel the appointment for today because I just took a pregnancy test and it's positive. They're like, oh, great. We're going to actually schedule you to come in on Monday to do blood work for your HCG levels. I was like, okay. So we're all excited over the weekend, like, oh my God, we're pregnant. I think I'm like 4 weeks. I think I'm 4 weeks pregnant at this time. I'm just trying to guess from, whatever. And I do my blood work. They call me on Tuesday and they're like, your levels are insanely high. Like, they're not making sense for how far along you think you are. You might have multiples in there. So if you can come in tomorrow, which is now Wednesday at this point, for an ultrasound, just so we can kind of see what's going on. I was like, all right, great. Like, sure. Meanwhile, I tell my husband and we're freaking out. I'm like, oh, what if we have multiples? How am I gonna carry multiples? I'm 5 feet tall. So we go in the next day, Wednesday, and I'm waiting in the office like so anxiously. They pull me into the room. We're waiting in there for like 10 more minutes, and the doctor comes in. He presses on my stomach. He whips out the ultrasound machine. There immediately is a baby on the screen, like a whole baby, the face and everything. Me and my husband were like, wait, what? 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 And the doctor goes, that's a big baby in there. You guys, at this moment, I'm freaking out. I'm in such shock. Like, I go from thinking I'm like barely pregnant to like very pregnant. He goes, you're measuring at like 17 weeks. When was your last period before the procedure? So I like go on my app, I look at it, and he was like, yep, 17 weeks, 4 days. What? What? I was literally speechless. I still feel speechless talking about it. I'm now 20 weeks and 2 days pregnant. It hasn't been that much like time for me to like really process what's going on. Like, my life did a 180 in that moment, and thank God my husband was with me for that appointment, because if he wasn't, I first of all I would have felt terrible, and I would have spiraled more than I already was. The doctor is like laughing. We're all like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, so, like, shocked. And he's like, you have a miracle baby. Like, this is the first baby in successful pregnancy that I've seen after that procedure, like, in my career here so far. He's kind of like a younger doctor, but, like, still, I was like, what? So, the fact that we've had infertility issues and had less than a 10% chance of getting pregnant naturally each month, and we finally did, and this is how it went, was like, I yeah. So I'm now 20 weeks and I'm halfway. And I just flew right through the first trimester. No symptoms. Like looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was tired, but like I'm 30 years old. Of course I'm tired. I'm always tired. Who in our generation is not tired? So I didn't think anything of it. Like no weird cravings. I wasn't getting sick. Like nothing. I wasn't showing. Like I'm a little bit of a thicker girl, so like I already kind of had like a little bit of a belly, like naturally, but like was not showing at all. Since finding out that I'm pregnant over the last like week and a half, actually, once I got to 19 weeks, like my stomach has started to pop, and I'm like, oh okay, like now I definitely look pregnant. And I would say like the 2 weeks leading up to finding out that I was pregnant, my boobs were starting to get bigger, but I thought they were just getting kind of swollen because I thought my period was going to come, because that's what happens when I get my period. I was also feeling like really crampy, and I was like, oh my gosh, like my period is going to come back with a vengeance. I haven't had it in 3 months and I know it's going to be bad. Like I always had really bad periods. So that is my story of how I was pregnant at 17 weeks and I had no idea. If you have a similar story or situation, or even had a cryptic pregnancy where you were like went all the way to full term and didn't know you were pregnant, please tell me your story in the comments below, because I love reading these other stories like online and I find it so fascinating, especially since now I am one of those people that was pregnant and didn't know.